Welcome to Health Kindness here on Northwest Digital News. Health and kindness all squished together in one show. How about that? We're going to talk about fatty liver today and a couple of different types that there are. But liver disease in children, Jody, is on the rise. In fact, it's doubled in the last 20 years. Why is this happening?
Diet. We're
Diet.
done now. Diet. There is no genetic predisposition. This is not a genetic issue. This is a fully what children are putting in their mouth. It is because we have switched from a high fat, high quality protein diet that our parents were raised on, very low processed foods because they didn't exist, to a completely industrial food diet where they're eating, processed cereals for breakfast and pancakes, and then they go to school and drink orange juice and have chocolate milk, and for lunch they're having corn dogs, and then they have their afternoon snack, which is, popcorn and soda because they need the snack, and then for dinner they're having spaghetti with garlic bread, and then for dinner they're having a treat of ice cream. And if you look, the carbohydrates, and I'm not talking about carbohydrates from vegetables, I'm talking about carbohydrates from processed foods. These children are growing up on that day after day after day, week after week, and their livers are just not in the health that it should be, because fatty liver is caused from poor food choices.
To your point, I had a friend who was in the daycare business, and so they had to feed the children who were there all day long these approved meals from the county that they resided in. And I remember the cornflakes being breakfast, something along the lines of a Lunchable, some tater tots, and little hot dog things wrapped up in dough, that being like a lunch type deal, and then the evening being mac and cheese, and again with some diced hot dogs in it. And everybody go, yeah, that's what I have every day too. But yeah, what we're seeing right behind us.
It's what some people eat even in their own home. And so it doesn't seem like there's any red flag to have that outside of the home, because what difference does it make where you eat if you're eating the same foods? But it's causing our children to have this. It's an epidemic. In fact, seriously, if you listen to the news in the next 5 years, 10 years, as this generation of kids, it will be a major, major player in chronic illness and death. I'm not exaggerating. It's super serious, and we are not hearing nearly what we should in the media about the dangers of fatty liver, especially in children.
Let's talk about what some of the symptoms could be. And as you mentioned, in kids, and you'll see this.
Fatigue, which again, some of these are very general, but fatigue and bloating, a lot of discomfort on the right side. So your liver is on the right side, and it takes up a large amount of, underneath your rib cage, and your gallbladder sits on there too. And so again, poor quality foods can actually affect and inflame the gallbladder as well. So like pain and discomfort on the right side, skin rashes, dermatitis, psoriasis, liver spots on the skin, irregular skin, not having good clear skin can indicate a lot of liver issues. Like I said, gallbladder problems, high blood pressure. There's a list of things that go on. I mean, it's a long, long list, but a lot of them are very general. But again, it comes back to diet.
Incredible stuff. Now, this is what is known as the non-alcoholic fatty liver, correct?
Correct. And so when we think of alcoholic liver, we think of alcoholics get certain, not psoriasis, cirrhosis.
Yeah.
And because of the damage, but the liver doesn't know what it's being damaged from, whether it's alcohol or whether it's fat. So now your liver naturally has a little bit of fat in it. That's normal, 5%, whatever it is. But anytime you get over the 10%, 20%, some livers are just all fat. Some of these, when you look into people who are having weight loss surgery, stomach surgery. 95% of people who have weight loss surgery have extreme fatty liver.
My goodness.
So it's, again, it has everything to do with food. And yes, food can damage the liver just like alcohol.
What kind of role does medications play in this problem?
So medications don't necessarily cause fatty liver. Like acetaminophen literally is probably there's more deaths by acetaminophen, which is Tylenol and Tylenol type products, than really any over-the-counter drug. That, in fact, I even think it should be given back to doctors and only given in certain circumstances, because it causes so many hospital emergency room and deaths in this country. Acetaminophen doesn't necessarily cause fatty liver, but if there's anything going on in the liver at all, and you take acetaminophen or drugs such as some of the immunosuppressants, one of the cancer drugs, tamoxifen, all of those play a role in the damage of the liver, specific if somebody already has any kind of fatty liver issues going on.
Mm-hmm. I notice on the Tylenol bottles, acetaminophen, many of them say rapid release, like this one right here, rapid release. Maybe it ought to say rapid disease.
Probably should.
People would better understand what's going on with this thing. So let's talk about, so if somebody is suffering from these symptoms, how do you overcome a fatty liver situation?
Well, you go back to the root cause, which is diet. And so to overcome it is to change your food. And you can't do it quick enough and extreme enough. I mean, I'm serious. It's dangerous. And, it can cause inflammation of the liver and cause liver cancer, all sorts of things. So food is really basically, you want a high fiber, and I'm talking like vegetable fiber. So what you see here, so the cruciferous vegetables, the cabbages are fabulous for the liver because they're good for the gallbladder. Beets, spinach, Brussels sprouts, all of those things. So you want to stay away from high processed foods, including sugars, corn syrups. You want raw vegetables, protein, high quality proteins, such eggs are really good for the liver, actually, the choline in the eggs, and the less they're cooked. So and here's why, which this is interesting. I just had because we just passed Easter, and when somebody asked that question, why when I eat hard-boiled eggs, does it upset my stomach, where I can eat the eggs from the exact same batch, the same dozen that is soft cooked, and it doesn't affect? Well, when you hard boil an egg, it's still good for you, but it's harder to digest, and therefore you don't absorb as many nutrients. So if you're eating eggs for your liver and just overall health, the softer cooked eggs are actually, you absorb more of the benefits of that. So soft cooked eggs are really good for the liver. Seafood with good essential fatty acids, healthy fats, lots of hydration. Well, of course you can drink too much water, but you want a good amount of hydration going through. So again, stay away from processed foods, refined sugars, high fructose corn syrup, all of those things, and especially with children.
Mm-hmm. For people who like to supplement, and there's, I'm sure, a number of supplements which would be appropriate here for helping treat fatty liver, what would they be? What do you recommend?
Helping support the liver through supplementation of milk thistle is amazing. Milk thistle is very inexpensive, and there's, Life Extension is a company that has a very good quality. You really want to make sure that your supplements are, a good standard quality, not just your cheapest over the counter. A high dose vitamin C. So vitamin C powder can also help with, beautiful skin and, regular bowel movements. Selenium is very liver protectant. In fact, we are deficient in selenium generally as a society. I'm not saying any particular person is. Selenium is very liver protective. Zinc, anything that increases your glutathione production, so amino acids that are high in sulfur, good for liver detox, because glutathione is your master antioxidant in the body, which is, again, good for the liver. And taurine, again, in beets and cabbage, need for bioproduction. Lecithin, dandelion. So the list goes on and on and on. One thing that I didn't make note of, because I sent you these notes, but one of the things I didn't put on there that I think is worth mentioning is a lot of herbs are not liver supportive. So be careful, like if you're doing herbal remedies, just make sure and double check, because a lot of them can actually cause liver damage. And I don't know off the top of my head because I'm not an herbalist, but I will tell you that there are some herbs that are not healthy for the liver. So if you are into herbs and herbalism and you want to really look at your liver, just make sure that those are, liver protective herbs.
Mm-hmm.
And lastly, one of the things that's really good would be juicing raw vegetables. So celery and beets. Beets are fabulous for the liver. Cabbage, carrots, cilantro, which is, it's quite tangy or quite potent and pungent, but just mix it with a little bit of lemon, and it's, again, very good for detoxification of the liver and support of a healthy liver.
Well, the cool thing is that the liver can and does regenerate. In fact, it's one of the organs that regenerates itself regularly. So if you take fast action, as you've just mentioned, and make those dietary changes, do the things that you need to do as far as your diet, your supplements. You mentioned juicing. My wife also does a lot with smoothies, so mixes a lot of the things in there. And I here's one of the reasons I really love smoothies, because some people might say that, I'm not a really big fan of celery or beets or other things that you mentioned. You can blend them with a lot of other things that end up with a very delicious drink, and you get the benefit of those foods. So there's really no excuses for not eating what you should be eating to take care of yourself. And of course, this is the best advice for people with kids, because we have responsibility for parents to look out for our kids, and don't take the lazy route of going Captain Crunch for breakfast, mac and cheese for lunch, and a Lunchable for dinner. That's not food, guys. So, all right, well, great stuff around liver, fatty liver, and I do hope people take this seriously, because as you mentioned, it's one of the epidemics, if not a current one, a coming epidemic here in this country. Fatty liver is. Kevin Hunter and Jody Summers here on Health Kindness on Northwest Digital News. Thanks everybody who joined us.
This concludes today's live programming on Northwest Digital News. Thanks for joining us for this special broadcast. Heard around the world in more than 70 countries on YouTube, Instagram, Patreon, Facebook, and Twitch TV. If you enjoyed a story or guest we had here on Northwest Digital News and would like to strut your stuff on the broadcast, email us today at wainfo2017@gmail.com or call or text 360-545-3501. We're always interested in unique stories, topics, and guests to share with our worldwide audience. Before you go, don't forget to give us a big thumbs up and comment on the live stream. And for those of you who'd like to financially support the broadcast, you can do so at patreon.com/Northwest Digital News. We thank you for your patronage. On behalf of Chris Bornstead, Kyle Torgeson, Stephanie Hunter, and all the people that made this broadcast possible, I'm Kevin Hunter. Till next time, take care.